Hi friends, Evidence Beyond Doubt is back, and today we're going to talk about skulls. But you see, I couldn't start this video today without presenting you with the main characters, the ones that were responsible to the introduction of the body of Nazca to the world. And they belong to this organization called INCARRI Institute of Peru. INCARRI Institute of Peru. And the president is José Casafranca and Thierry Jamin. Thierry Jamin is a French explorer, and he is the guy that first was approached by the Tomb Raiders. Thierry Jamin is a real nice guy. I personally am in contact with him. José Casafranca is his friend. So they both, along with a very important person in all the history from 2017 until now, that is the reporter from Peru, Ruiz Mantilla, the guy that is always fighting so they don't take the bodies away. The government of Peru wants to take the bodies away and hide them forever. So the question today, why is it so hard to believe? Why is it so hard to believe that they are real? You're going to have to agree with me that the reason for that is the famous Hollywood. Hollywood on the 80s introduced to us Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and they had to depict, for the first time in the movies, an aliens for us to see. Well, that was the alien presented to us by Steven Spielberg. Steven Spielberg, who initiated the depiction of alien as being a being with a big skull. Then we had, of course, E.T., and we can't forget over here Sigourney Weaver's most acclaimed and famous big skull alien, and a very scary one. But the thing is that the big skulls have been around us in the world, in the history of the world, forever. In the 80s, this person called Brian Foster, he's a researcher and wrote several books about the skulls of Paracas. The skull Paracas, they are, in my opinion, belong to a different species. They were a different species in this planet. Why? Because they have anatomical and genetic differences from sapiens, from our type. And they were found all over the world. You can see over here how there are no localities in the world where they were not found. They were very popular. But the mainstream archaeology always come with the story that they were tribes that compressed the heads of the babies and they were deformed, which that in fact it was proven. Yes, they existed. So as you're gonna see, very famous and talked about multiple times. Any video you're gonna see, which is done by mainstream archaeology, brings the theory that they were deformed by the culture because they wanted to model their kids, which were the beings that belong to the Paracas type. And it's a pity that to this day, we're gonna go over now to our anatomy. This is a regular skull of Homo sapiens, and we have what's called the coronal sutures, as you can see right there. The coronal suture, you see, it's very visible. They exist because they unite the plaques of the skull. Okay, that's also coronal suture. You see seen from inferior view. Then we have the sagittal suture. Now, this is normal for us to have. We have in our skull sagittal, coronal, and inferior, that green area, the silver there, is the magnum foramen. Okay, in our skull, they are round. In the Nazca skeletons, they are not round, they're square. So here we see a normal skull, normal sapien skull, and Paracas skull. Now, over here you see a depiction from a book of 1851 made by this professor Altreport. I think this gentleman was French. And it's clear over here the depiction of the skeletons found in the Andes back in 1800s still. Then we are presented with this. Maria was the nickname given to this skeleton that was found in the tombs, along with the other bodies of the elongated skulls that you're going to see ahead. So it was a female. It was found there. Maria has all the internal organs intact. If you saw the Diatomia Earth video, you will realize that it was a very potent, very powerful way of maintaining the body as it was, but the coloration was different. But now, because of the exposure to oxygen after all this time, as you saw in the conference that happened in Mexico, they were almost like yellowish, a beige color. Well, when they were first found, that was the skull of the Maria. Maria also has sutures in the skull that are compatible to the human sapiens. Over here it's shown the vertebrae that are very similar to human. The difference, there are parts of the genetic study made on Maria. They found that she also has human sapiens genes. But part of it are genes that were not found ever in the planet, just like the creatures that we're going to see ahead. So Maria has sutures. In case over here we have temporal suture, and the occipital suture, which we all have, and the sagittal suture and the coronal suture. It's amazing because she's a three-fingered skeleton. She has a bigger skull than humans. The orbicular area that you're going to see ahead has the same is the same size as ours. And over here, you see the layers that cover the brain. In normal, like in all of us, you can see the dura mater. The dura mater is very important because it protects the brain. The state of preservation of Maria was such that you can see the dura mater on that tomography that you just saw. Over here, the air around the eyes was measured, and it's no different than human skull. So here are the skulls that were found in the rock box. Let me clarify this. All the creatures, they have the body complete. They have no parts cut whatsoever. And in the rock box, they also found the skulls that were separated. So the interesting thing, in those boxes, they found the skulls of creatures, and they also found hands of creatures. They also found sculpted rocks, and they also found dissected brains. And obviously they found 20 to 30 bodies of the beings that we were presented, for example, in the conference of Mexico. I would like to say that the ones that INCARRI Institute have is Josephine, that you see right there. She also has a metal plate in front of the chest. And then we have Alberto. And we have, they didn't give the name to them, they just called them family. So they had those three beings like that. They have Josephine and they have Alberto. And this is the movie from Josephine. We're going to go further down the road, another video about Josephine, only about Josephine, and we're going to go about that. I'm sorry, this one actually is Alberto. Alberto has a longer neck. They theorize that the neck is retractile, so that they had the ability of shortening the head, and like you see right there how elongated it is. Well, this is the male species, so there is a chance that there is a difference in sex. I didn't see the other ones, but this is Josephine's. It's a shorter neck, and you can see in this the X-ray right there how they had to change the settings on the machine to be able to accomplish and see the opacity on those skulls. Those are the separated skulls. As you can see right there, the foramen, the opening on the inferior part of the skull is a square. The skull right there has no manipulation whatsoever, has no cuts, has no glue applied whatsoever. Okay, this skull was not changed whatsoever. Okay, you can see the ridges. Here is a tomography of Josephine, I believe, and you can see the amount of diatomia is still present in the skull. Here is a tomography where they cut in half the skull. They had to do that to check you see on the bottom part how they found that these beings, they were just able to suck. The suction was their method of living. They couldn't masticate, they couldn't chew, so they were only be able to suck liquid. And the biologists already started to define the anatomical references that we have on the skull of those beings, which are present in all of them basically. By the way, there is no evidence whatsoever that they came from space. No evidence whatsoever. There are signs of intelligence. Yes, there are signs of intelligence. Okay. On that figure over there, you can see the vertebrae, and the biologists and the forensic physicians, they found out that the digestive apparatus is inferior to this, posterior to the spine. So not like us, that we have our tummy, our stomach is in front of our spine. On those beings, it's behind the spine. That was very interesting. Here you can see a top view and inferior view of the structures, anatomical structures of the skulls. And on the bottom figure, you can see how the atlas it's part of the skull. That's interesting. In our skeleton, the atlas, which is that triangle that you see over there, is a separated bone that forms the atlantoaxial joint, which are the first vertebrae that below the skull, our skull. And you can see the foramen that's very square. Over here you can see how they had two bone segments, plaques, that would allow them to open the mouth and communicate probably. The other difference there is the two little orifices above the eye that bring the vascular nutrition to the eye, in that the Paracas skull is also huge like that. The brain is still present in Josephine, but note this. The reason why the brain is located in the bottom part of the skull right there, in the posterior part, is because this body was facing up close to 2,000 years inside the box. And it's just obvious that everything that is covering the entire skull will smush and come down and be located at the bottom. So the entire brain is placed inferiorly because this being was positioned in supine close to 2,000 years. Okay, this is a very important tomography that we study that keeps going. You're gonna see it goes down, and you can see the vertebrae as well. Dissected brain. You see right there the two hemispheres of one brain that was found separated inside the rock box. You start wondering, why would they do that? Why would they present us with, look, you got over here everything that you want to know about us. How the hands, look, you got our hands, you got how the skulls were, we have, look, that's our brain right there, and here's our entire body. It looks like you're telling us that, presenting us with a museum. And here's the question. I understand the point of preservation, but why keep separated anatomical body parts to be preserved? What, so future generations could see it? Anyway, guys, this video was made in a little hurry. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe, please. I guess no one's watching that because I'm just doing them, but I'll keep doing them because I like to introduce them to the world. Thank you so much again for watching. See you next Sunday.